How has COVID-19 affected your job as a clinical manager?
So for us, so I work for a health insurance and I manage a group of about 11 licensed therapists as well. And then they reach out to our members, which are the people in the health plan. So when the pandemic started, I don't know why I had a feeling that this was going to be longer than a month. Everyone we got sent home. We were already mostly working from home, but they sent like the whole company home, and so that was a big shift and transition for the whole company. It's a Fortune 500, so I mean everything moved really quickly. But because everything moved really quickly, there was also weird errors that happen, like a staff that got like 3 laptops, because they're just trying to make sure everyone had the equipment. And then there is like, of course, the growing pains of all these people now being on the remote network and all these issues that, nobody thought about. But then aside from that, the more technical company side, there was the member side, right? Like, how do we help these people deal with what's going on? How do we educate them on what they need to be doing, keeping safe and extra hygiene, right? This was all hygiene we should all have been doing, but maybe some people weren't. But now it's like, okay, now it's like serious, serious. This is your life serious. And, at the time, I don't think we even really understood that, right? That it was that serious. Like it was a joke. Everyone was hoarding toilet paper joke. But maybe that's the way, America coped with it. So it wouldn't be so serious. Also, so really, it was just kind of like constant managing all of these, like, I don't know, I was thinking of like all these balls coming at me and then, just trying to manage them all and seeing what's priority. And it got easier and it got better, definitely with the vaccine. It has helped a lot. And we'll see. We're scheduled to go back into the office towards the end of the year. So we'll see if that happens or not.
So as you mentioned, you kind of like you lead a team. So as a woman in power, what makes a good leader?
Yeah. So, what makes a good leader, whether you're a woman or not, is really being empathetic and really also looking to build a team that has varying strengths. You hear it all the time that diversity really matters, and it really does. I mean, you can't have a team of all the same personality types because it's just not going to work. It's just going to be constant um I don't know, friction going on. And so when I go into hiring a person, I not just only look that they're qualified, because at the point that they're getting an interview, they're qualified. What matters is, okay, does this person fit my current team? What strengths do they have that the team doesn't have that they'd benefit from? And how can they, that person be integrated in and be part of the team? When I first started, as a manager, I had no idea that's what I was going to be doing. It came over time that I learned the reasons to hire one person versus another. And it, just really came down to the skills and strengths that I needed from someone at the time.
How would you explain career coaching to someone who is unfamiliar with the terms?
Yeah, definitely. So, career coaching, if you think back to your high school counselor, I feel like that was really their role back many years ago. But now the role has changed, and unfortunately, they can't help you in that way. Most high school counselors, but it's someone who looks at you and uniquely you, because every situation is different. They can help you with doing assessments, doing maybe some interest inventories and seeing, okay, what is this person like? That's one aspect of it. And then what is this person, what type of environment does this person like to be in, right? So there's interests, and then what type of environment we like to be in. Maybe you like to be in a very small, quiet environment, or maybe you like to be in a very loud environment, right? There's a lot of different, and it's not as simple as taking a personality test, because a personality test is just one tiny window. And a lot of times, we put a lot of weight on this one thing, and it's a whole picture, right? So, and then the last thing is, what are their skills? And then finally, something that no one ever asks really is, how do you want to change the world? Because we all want to change the world. We all, I know it. And I know I want to change the world for the better. And so if you ask yourself, how do you want to change the world? and then, backtrack all the other things, you can really find your niche. And if you don't believe it exists, I'll tell you it exists. It does. You just need to give yourself the opportunity to believe it does. For example, 2 years ago, and this is something that I've learned over time, it's about curiosity and asking people questions. So I was at a training at a hotel, and there is another training going on across the hall. And normally I'm really like, okay, don't talk to anybody, just go do what I'm gonna do. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna break out of that and go ask this lady, like, what is she gonna tell me? No. So I'm like, oh, what are y'all doing over here? And she was a little apprehensive at first. And then finally she's like, oh, I help this library coach. She goes around the nation talking to librarians. And I was like, a librarian coach? Like, what? I never heard of that. That sounds like a super cool job. And so she gets all the books from the publisher super early. And then she goes and has these conferences where she displays the books and she talks about what books would be good for what. And the librarians can come and look at the books. And I'm like, I didn't even know librarians had conferences. But I mean, that just shows like what you don't know, right? And it was so cool just to see that. And I'm like, yeah, every single job possible that you can think of exists, or you can make it.
Yeah. And also to add, I'm curious as a career coach too, like I'm sure you have people like all walks of life coming to you in all different areas, like career areas. So how challenging is it to switch from like, say a creative type to a more like business type to help them along in their career journey?
Yeah, so essentially it all comes down to the same thing, right? Someone seeking help is just feeling lost and stuck, and they just need that clarity. So it's actually, I feel like the easy part. Like I just help them get rid of all that extra noise of the I should be doing this, or I can't do that, or what am I thinking to believe that I can do that? Those are like the typical things we start telling ourselves. And so just by kind of removing that and asking, you know, a few questions, but really the last one being like, well, how do you want to change the world? Aside from like, I like this, but how do you want to change the world? I think that really helps people gain that clarity they need.